Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Kris. This is Farmers to Raiders, the mysterious origins of the Vikings. This is part 2. I went back a few seconds and I forgot all about this video. So, let's do it now.
Own architecture so that it is possible that a lot of people find.
I'm starting to put the links of the previous video in the description. I never thought about it. It's so easy to do. Well, it's not, but I'm doing it now. So the first one will be in there, if I remember.
Place on a very small site.
Farmers became traders, a rural lifestyle exchanged for an urban one. Maintaining control over trade and controlling the merchant routes using warfare and defensive tactics soon gave Vikings the upper hand. Amber, eiderdown, and good quality whetstones were important ingredients in the Vikings' trading system.
Sure.
And with an extensive wilderness to the north and east, Vikings soon commanded the lucrative fur trade. Skin and fur would soon drape the kings and sultans of distant empires, and Viking merchants would sell and trade for salt and precious metals. But their bounty also included the living.
During the excavations in Hedeby, archaeologists found iron handcuffs and chains, and that is a hint that here in Hedeby they sold slaves on the market.
No doubt the town of Hythe.
I would believe that along their ratings and stuff like that, they would take people and then just sell them for a profit, any civilians. I could see that. I think a lot of civilizations probably did that.
Was a place where many different people and cultures met. From here, boats would depart in all directions. Vikings from what is now Sweden took to their oars and sailed across the Baltic Sea, entering the extensive river system which would bring them to the Caspian and Black Seas in the south.
This is a stupid question, but when they're rowing, why do they pause? Is it to kind of catch their breath and then go again, so you're not constantly going and one person's going to be stronger and the next person's not going to be able to keep up? Like, does that kind of give them pause to have the endurance to go longer, to row, for longer periods? Just curious if anyone knows.
To the people that they met, they were known as the Russ, and they soon established rule over a land which still bears their name, Russia. Again, a successful boat design with a boat that could be pulled over land when necessary gave Vikings the advantage. But the trips took their toll. Many warriors died far away from home. With the emergence of a written language, their deeds and heroism were immortalized on elaborate rune stones.
The Chuds, the Slavs, the Krivicians, and the Ves then said to the people of the Rus, "Our land is great and rich, but there is no order in it. Come to rule and reign over us."
The land under Rus control extended far, and Kiev became the capital. They often sailed to Constantinople, but failed in 2 attempts to conquer the Byzantine Empire. However, the emperor noted their strength and bravery, and made Vikings his personal mercenary guard. The Vikings were a merchant elite, backed by their own military power, and they exacted tribute in furs and slaves from their Slavic subjects to trade with the Arabs for silver. But Viking expansion, whether east or west, still relied on the development of the ships. At the Viking Ship Museum in Denmark, Søren Nielsen is in charge of building replica ships.
The important thing is to follow the fiber, that the piece of wood which is put into the boat follows the fibers of the wood. So it has grown in the right shape, you can say. I made two pieces here, just to show you the important thing. On this piece, the fibers are going here like this, straight, and this is a grown piece from the nature. And if I hit it here, as you can see here, the fibers didn't follow the shape of the piece, so it broke. And that is the important thing. As you can see on this piece of wood, the fibers is following from one end to the other, and therefore it's unbreakable.
Huh.
So that is what makes this piece very strong.
In the forests of
What would they have used that for? What he was just banging? Because that looked like a weapon, but I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it was maybe a part of the boat. Clearly a part of the boat.
Viking times, an industry was developed. Skilled boat builders looked for natural curves in the wood, lines that fit the hull shape of the boat they planned to build.
Okay. Gotcha.
Planks were cleaved out of the tree trunk, and beams carved out of the curved branch.
What happened? Oh, bad.
Why am I a Verbo host? People come together from all over to enjoy my place. So I'm making a connection with...
It's great music.
Out of the curved branches. Oak was definitely the preferred material,
Sure.
but boat builders in the north of Scandinavia would have to settle for pine.
I think it was impossible for one boat builder or 10 boat builders to build a boat like this. It has to be, you had an industry with a lot of people in the forest chopping the big planks out, and they were taking roughly chopped planks down to the harbor. And down there were boat builders putting the boat together.
Today, the tradition is upheld by a small team of boat builders at the Viking Ship Museum at Roskilde in Denmark. On this bed is the longest replica ship ever built. At 100 feet in length, this slender ship seems to defy the rules of boat building.
There is a lot of points where I think this is not strong enough. This is too thin, this is too weak. In all those cases, when the boat is going out sailing, it's strong enough. It would be okay.
The ship is built using clinker technique with overlapping planks.
I think it's one of the few elements in life which has survived for more than 1,000 years in living tradition over a large part of Northern Europe and North America as a true Viking heritage.
The design allows for a considerable flex along the ship's axes.
They can be like a dolphin in the sea, move and do not stand out as a stiff element which would hammer into the waves. This is the secret of the Viking ship.
The modern shipbuilders decided to put their ancestors and their design to test. At the Danish Maritime Institute, naval architect Kim Henriksen prepares for an examination of the hull's characteristics. The clinker construction method quickly proves its quality.
Concept, so to say, of the Viking ship is very similar to the modern ocean racers, for example, in the Volvo Ocean Race. The Viking ship is a light displacement boat, even when carrying cargo, and it is skimming the surface, you see. There's no water friction.
7 knots.
So that is almost like cutting into the I know they're all different, but that's kind of cutting, and so the rest of the water is just kind of peeling away almost as it goes through. That's kind of crazy. You know what I would say, and this is going to be extremely weird, and I do apologize, but somebody took the time to create this technology to study boats, Viking boats, whatever, historical boats, and they came up with this system to do it. And it just blows my mind that this technology exists and I had no idea it did. It's just crazy. There's so much stuff out there that we can do as a people around the world, and you had no idea that was capable. Like, somebody thought of that. Just human beings
Air
are
bubbles
smart,
are
man.
forced under the boat along the overlapping boards. The air works like lubrication. Resistance is minimal. Gunnar Marel Egertsson built and sails his own Viking ship.
The Viking ships, they were built from the very beginning to surf. If you're going faster than 30 knots, it starts to surf, and then it's easy to sail as fast as 15, 18, 20 knots.
Only the fastest...
Did he say it starts to surf as though it comes up on top of the water and just kind of coasts?
Modern sailing boats can match such speeds, but it will take more than a fast ship to conquer the world.
Look at that whole structure that they had built just to test how a boat coasts across the water. That's awesome to me. I don't really actually have like any interest in doing that, and the science behind it means nothing to me. But the fact that somebody came up with that is awesome to me.
The Viking sailors' skills were outstanding, and they dominated the oceans for nearly half a millennium. Initially, the Vikings surfed along the coasts. As long as they could see land, navigation was easy. Once they set course over open sea, the rules changed. Søren Tirslund, a retired Danish sea captain, has many things in common with his ancestral Viking captains, and he is certain they knew how to navigate the oceans. A small wooden piece found during an excavation in Greenland could hold the truth to Viking navigation. Søren Tirslund
I personally believe that there is more that they just not discovered, but there's more that they discovered for themselves in terms of sailing than we will ever know. My opinion.
believes the piece originally looked like this, and that the sun at different times of the year would cast a shadow along the lines carved in the wood. The curved line fits the sun's movement during a day in the summer in Scandinavia.
The curve is relevant to the 60 degrees north latitude. We have been experimenting with it. We have run it on the computer, and they fit quite well with 60 or 61 north, which is the line you sailed from Scandinavia to Greenland.
There are others that do not believe Søren Tirslund can substantiate his claim about a Viking sun compass. Prepared to put the theory to a test, he asked for an analysis to be made by the Forensic Technical Department of the Danish police.
Wow, the police.
Carl Huberg took a close look at the wooden piece from Greenland. He was most interested in the lines carved in the wood. Were they accidental, or were they done for a purpose? His conclusion is clear and simple.
It's got to be done for a purpose. It's too straight.
My conclusion from the investigation is that the lines are purposely drawn, not lines randomly carved.
I pejleskiven og ikke som påstået tilfældigt opstået.
The Viking captain...
If it was, to me, if it's carved, you're not starting at one point and ending at one point, so you're going to keep, scoring it and grooving it, and you're going to see those etches. But if you were to just take it and maybe pencil line it, and then I almost said straight edge it, but if you kind of go through, then it's one groove, and that to me looked like it was more kind of that. It was more straight to the point instead of them etching it as though they were just doing it for the fun of it. But what the hell do I know?
Would hold the sun compass horizontally, and as long as the shadow fell along the line, he knew that he was on a correct east-westerly course, and he could deduct the other directions as well. In Riem, a book from late Viking times, it is made absolutely clear that the Vikings had a superb knowledge of astronomical navigation. For example, they knew and used the knowledge of a spherical world. They knew about the moon and tidal currents, and they could calculate the time for ebb and flow for any place on Earth.
Any time on
And the
Earth?
quadrant
Wow.
is described, which made it possible for them to measure the height of the sun, make tables for its declination day by day during the year, and use the polar star for navigation.
Smart people.
The stroke of the oars was their clock, and measuring the distance they rowed in a few strokes, as observed by passing a floating object, gave them distance over time. Based on all this knowledge, they laid down distance charts for most European sailing routes, even in the Mediterranean. Comparing their numbers to modern satellite navigation, we can conclude that the Vikings' estimations of distance were off by less than 2 to 4%. The information in Riem clearly shows that the Viking culture did not develop.
So you got to flip that number for me. I would be off by like 96 to 98%. So they did much better than I would have. And I have science. Oh. We're going to go ahead and end it here. 13 minutes. We're halfway through. And I'm going to jump right back into it. But I'm going to end this video now because I got to get a few things done before I can jump right back into it. I'm out of my coconut rum, so I got to get more. Like and subscribe, or, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, your favorite pet is going to get caught drunk driving. You know, your little, I'm sure we all have a hermit crab. I don't, but you do. And that little thing's going to get caught drunk driving. It's going to probably kill a pedestrian. So you should like and subscribe. Have a good day. Have a good night.